Hello, listeners. Do you know what time it is? That's right. It's Crowley time.
Crowley time.
Crowley time.
Crowley time.
Crowley time.
Crowley time.
Yes!
Crowley time!
Hello, and welcome to Crowley Time with me, Tom Crowley. With me, Tom Crowley. The great comedian Simon Munnery once said that comedy is a dance, not a race. The idea that one performance in a run of shows, or that one show versus another, or that one comedian versus another is empirically better doesn't stand up to scrutiny. Comedy is more subtle than that. It's a messy ballet, a twisting, translucent, shapeless beast, refusing to yield to explanation or classification or being ranked. I have always liked this quote from Munnery and agree with its sentiment wholeheartedly, and so it is with great regret that I present this episode, which purports, unscientifically, to be the best of the first 3 years of Crowley Time. These are the sketches from all the episodes so far which listeners have most often singled out to me, or which I simply like the best. They're all self-contained sketches which require no context or prior knowledge, making them the perfect introduction for new listeners. That said, loyal regular listeners might feel that their favourite recurring characters are underrepresented. Beloved characters like Matt Shingles, the gruff New York detective, Dink Tangerine, the space pastry chef, and of course, everyone's favourite 6-year-old DIY expert, Wingtip. Well, to those disappointed regulars, I say make sure to listen right to the end, as there's a brand new horror story reading from our resident thesp, Sir Chumley Buntingham, recorded at a recent live performance. But for now, listeners old and new, sit back, have a kebab, and prepare to judge me harshly on what I dare to call the best of Crowley Time thus far. This is a public service announcement on behalf of the rest of Netflix. We all know the story. You've settled in, slumped on the couch at the end of a long day. All you want is something entertaining, exciting, and involving to watch. So you fire up the Netflix app on your smart TV or games console and begin browsing. You've finished your latest box set binge and watched all the films that don't look too challenging or too boring for a laid-back evening, so it's time to start scrolling. So, once you've gone through the first 20 rows of suggestions, you'll go back to the start and repeat the process until either you've settled for something you've already seen, or you've realized it's 11:30 now and you might as well go to bed. We've all been there. But next time you find yourself in this position, we implore you, break the cycle and keep scrolling. Of course, we understand that beyond those first 20 rows, things might start to look a little murky. Taiwanese soap operas you've never heard of with 38 seasons, truly nightmarish-looking CGI children's cartoons, and about 1,000 British gangster and football hooliganism films that make you wonder, who on earth put up the money for that? These lower-tier Netflix offerings are frightening and off-putting only because they're unfamiliar. And they'll stay unfamiliar as long as you keep not giving them a chance. Who's to say you won't enjoy the hard, firm 3 Mission to Marbella just as much as Narcos? Or that you're going to like Greta Gerwig's Lady Bird more than animated series Splat McPoo and the Squits just because the former is more widely known? And why do you automatically assume that Doctor Who is going to be better than its Portuguese remake, O Sexual Médico do Tempo? This spiral of ignorance is leaving countless labours of love by dedicated, caring creative teams chronically unwatched. That's why we've launched this awareness campaign. Say yes to the rest.
Yes.
A 78-minute film about a Ghanaian milkman with magic trousers.
Yes.
Surviving Dan, the Gary Sinise story.
Yes.
The Bollywood Inception.
Yes.
You pay your monthly Netflix subscription for access to the full library of our original and licensed programming. So when you think about it, rewatching Stranger Things over and over again really isn't value for money. And let's face it, you can't watch House of Cards without feeling weird anymore, so why not replace it with something a little off the beaten path?
Yes.
What about Hard Nut Raid, a British bank robbery thriller featuring exclusively actors who have somehow never been in anything else, ever?
You said we were splitting the score 5 ways even, Munty. The only thing I'm gonna split is your skull, Rog, you plum. You wanker!
Yes.
Or perhaps you'd be surprised to find yourself addicted to the twists and drama of Lactogeddon, a Swedish sci-fi series about a post-apocalyptic world where all the milk on Earth has vanished.
It's no use. We will never know milk again. No, Ava, you mustn't lose hope. These cornflakes are so dry.
Yes.
And let's not forget the anime adaptation of Kes.
Don't weaken now, Kes. We must be triumphant in battle.
I love you, Billy.
I love you too, Kes. But we must be strong, or else Mrs. Thatcher will close the mines.
You'll never stop me, Billy. Your battle skills are too weak.
Quick, Kes. Now is our moment.
Bladed wing strike.
Yes.
All of these programs were made with passion and ingenuity, some of them on extremely low budgets, and have been commissioned and bought for streaming on our platform. So they are real shows, no matter what people say. So we hope you'll join us in saying yes to the rest. But you don't have to take our word for it. Just listen to Frank Squat, the star of Hard Nut Raid.
Say yes to the bloody rest, you twats!
Yes.
Paid for by Amazon Prime.
Thank you all for being here. My client, Boxer, has asked you all here because he feels he must address in person, honestly and directly, the allegations in question. My client maintains that he is a blameless bystander in the events concerned and is prepared to field any questions you may have as long as they pertain to the matter at hand. I will now yield the microphone to my client, Boxer.
Thanks, Jerry. I will shortly be taking questions from the press gathered here, but first I would like to summarise my version of events. At 8:12 a.m. on Tuesday the 3rd of March 2020, my master, Hugo Billings, gave me strict instructions not to get up on the dinner table because my paws are dirty and would make a mess. He then left the house for what I at the time believed would be the rest of the day. Mr. Billings, having forgotten his car keys, then re-entered the abode and, according to his account, witnessed me standing on top of the dinner table, having seemingly completely disregarded his instructions within 3 seconds of his departure.
Mr. Hammer, Evening Standard. Mr. Boxer, did you get up on the table? Did you get up on the table?
No questions at this time.
Don't worry, Jerry, I'll field this one. Ms. Hammer, I will be addressing precisely those allegations in this statement.
Duncan Tremaine, Sky News. Mr. Boxer, is this a repeat of the poo on the living room carpet debacle?
Those rumours were never substantiated, and I shall not be addressing them at this time. If I may, I would now like to offer my version of events on the morning of Tuesday the 3rd. Shortly after Mr. Billings closed the front door, I became aware of a bad man in the house. I do not know how he entered the abode, but using my keen guard dog instincts, I quickly ascertained that this bad man had indeed gained entry. Making efforts to investigate the intrusion, I went into the adjoining room, the living room, and saw indeed that there was a bad man in the house.
Graham Trunk, BBC News. Can you describe this bad man?
Great question, Graham. Yes, I can confirm that the bad man was bald, with a sickle-shaped scar on his left cheek. He wore a black jumper and an eye patch. He had a hook for a hand, and he was 7'9". The bad man in question, on seeing me, a very good boy and very responsible guardian of the household, panicked and kicked me out of the way. The arc of my trajectory after being kicked ended on the top of the dining table, and as luck would have it, the very moment I landed on the table happened to be the very moment that Mr. Billings re-entered the domicile.
Why didn't Mr. Billings see anyone else in the house?
It is my belief that the bad man with the eye patch, having been adequately barked at by myself, beat a hasty retreat out of the house.
Mr. Boxer, can you shed any light on why there was no sign of forced entry?
I have been very consistent on this point ever since the event, and my position remains that he must have gone out of a window or something.
Mr. Boxer, Graham Trunk, BBC News again. Bad dog. Bad dog.
No, thank you. I refute that entirely and would like to restate my position that I am a good boy, a very, very good boy.
Do you have any comment on the nanny cam footage?
I'm sorry?
Excuse me, my client is not aware of this footage. Can you be more specific?
I'm getting this from the subreddit Naughty Doggos. A video has been posted there which appears to be taken from Mr. Billings' nanny cam. It shows what is clearly Mr. Boxer waiting patiently for Mr. Billings to leave the house and then immediately leaping up from his position on the floor onto the top of the dining room table.
Well.
There are many user comments, to read just a few. That is very naughty. Lol, no shame. And what a very naughty papa, look at his little ears.
Well, you can't. That could.
My client will not be taking any more questions at this time. Come on, Boxer. Come on, let's do it.
But I mean, it's a.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Von Papen leads new German government, only 5 cents. Extra, extra.
Excuse me, my good man, I'd like a newspaper.
Yeah, well, I'd like a trip to Europe, only I ain't got the scratch, pal.
What an outspoken gentleman. Why, that's no trouble, I've got the money right here.
Wow, wow, wow. And they say things is tough all over. Ain't you never heard of the Great Depression?
I certainly have. I began experiencing it the second I met you.
Oh, wise guy, huh?
I don't know about wise. Informed, maybe. Handsome, certainly.
Yeah. Look, you want to buy a paper or not?
I did when I got here, but my enthusiasm is dwindling.
Yeah, well, then make like Charles Lindbergh and buzz off.
No, pardon me, my good man. I'll take one newspaper.
Well, that'll be 6 cents.
6 cents? Why, it was 5 not a moment ago.
There's an optional sales gratuity of 1 cent.
Then I won't pay it.
Sorry, pal, it's optional, only you gotta pay.
What kind of optional is that?
You got the option, buddy. You can have the paper or you can't.
I see. All right, fine. I'll take the paper.
Okay, that'll be 7 cents.
Hold on. 7 cents?
There's an extra cent of purchasing insurance.
Insurance? Come on. What's going to happen to my newspaper during the purchase?
I don't know, Mac. I can get awful clumsy.
Nevertheless, I won't pay it.
Your choice, pal. No sale.
I beg your pardon. What kind of choice is that?
You can either have the paper or you can't.
All right, fine. Here you go.
Don't forget the extra cent for the farmers in Illinois.
The farmers in Illinois? I don't care about the farmers in Illinois.
Then you can take that up with FDR and his New Deal.
Boy, the news in this paper had better be good.
Don't count on it, Bob. I don't like the Weimar Republic's chances.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
I'd be glad to, pal.
8 cents. All right, I'll pay it. Only you guarantee there are no more hidden charges?
Nope.
No surcharges?
Nope.
No taxes on top?
Nope.
All right, then, I will buy this newspaper.
Okay, 10 cents.
10 cents? Where in heaven's name did that come from?
Inflation.
Mothers, do you have a young smoker in your family? Can they simply not handle the full flavor of a Lucky Strike original? Well, British American Tobacco is proud to present Lucky Strike Juniors for the little chimney in your life.
Hello, this is Crowley Time with me, Tom Crowley with me, Tom Crowley. We can't take your call at the moment. Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey, this is Mike Shinbone of Shinbone Entrepreneurials. Just wanted to say nice job on 3 years of your podcast thing, and hope the best of goes down a treat. What, you couldn't pull your finger out of your ass and make a new episode, you lazy motherfucker?
To tell you the truth, Buford, when you said let's go check out the old McGillicuddy place, I thought that was code for oral sex. Sorry, Jenny, but I'm too spooked to think about oral sex right now. This place is creepy. It'll be okay, Buford. It's nothing but a dark old house, musty old furniture, a lot of shadowy old doorways. Yeah, you're right, Jenny. It's nothing but... What the hell is that? I don't know. It's some kind of hideous old hag, like a witch kind of thing, or Yeah. It's I think is it a puppet? It kind of looks like a puppet. Stop doing that. I don't think it's going to stop. It's just laughing and hanging there. Why is a witch puppet hanging in midair by itself and laughing?
Don't you kids know?
Oh, sweet Christ, don't do that. Don't sneak up on people.
Sorry.
Who are you, old geezer?
I'm the groundskeeper around these parts. Folks call me Old Lumpy.
Old Lumpy?
Yep, can't say as I care for it. And I see you've met The witch.
Well, yeah, but I don't get it.
Like, is it a joke, or what is it?
Like a witch jumping out, I'd get that.
Or like someone holding a puppet.
Or if the puppet was alive and attacked us, maybe.
Yeah, with that I think I'd feel more comfortable, but it's just
Sort of hanging there and... yeah, like that kind of thing.
Sounds like you kids ain't heard the old legend.
There's a legend?
Well, it was a long time ago. One dark and tempestuous night, a gang of kids no older than you decided to come and snoop around the old McGillicuddy place.
Just like we did.
Yep. Well, a couple of them got separated from the group, wandered off on their own, and soon enough their imagination started to get the better of them. Jumping at shadows, they was.
Just like we are.
Yep. Well, imagine their fright when suddenly a terrifying witch leapt out of the shadows at them, cackling like the devil.
Just like this one.
Yep. Well, of course, turned out it was a deeply irritating friend of theirs who was filled with a sense of social rejection and sexual frustration, and he exercised these feelings by playing tricks on people. He'd brought a creepy old puppet of a witch to this old house and chose this moment to jump out and scare those kids.
Okay.
Seems he did too good a job. One of the kids he scared was on the high school boxing team. The kid lashed out in fright and punched the kid with the puppet right in the neck. Collapsed his windpipe. The prankster was dead within minutes. That terrible tragedy took place 50 years ago this very night.
Okay, I don't get it.
What's that?
Yeah, me neither. I mean, is this the ghost of the sexually frustrated kid?
Or is it the ghost of the puppet?
That's a mighty good question.
Or like, is this the actual puppet and there's an invisible ghost holding it up?
Oh, that would make more sense. Can you touch the puppet?
I don't know. No, my hand's going right through it.
So the puppet's a ghost.
But does a puppet have a soul, or is this like... Stay with me here.
Okay.
Is this the ghost of the sexually frustrated kid, but manifested as the witch puppet?
I guess. It kind of seems like putting a hat on a hat.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just kind of working with what I'm being given.
Yeah, I know. What do you think, Old Lumpy?
He's gone!
Buford, do you think maybe Old Lumpy was the ghost all along?
Oh!
Nope. I was just leaving. I was getting bored.
Oh, okay.
I'm going down to Slippery Pete's to get myself some oral sex. If you kids have any sense, you'll do the same.
Well, Jenny? It's tempting, but I kind of want to work out what's going on with this witch ghost puppet situation.
Yeah, me too. Only,
What?
can't we do both?
Yeah, okay. Hey, Mom, you're looking a little gloomy. What's wrong?
Oh, it's nothing. It's just that I've listened to every true crime podcast ever made, and I've watched every episode of NCIS.
Even the Los Angeles spin-off?
Yes, twice.
Whoa!
And now I'm fresh out of entertainment.
Well, you could take up knitting or weaving crafts.
Too fiddly.
Then you could try competitive first-person shooter esports.
Too violent.
Wait a second. I know. You need Lineage.com.
Lineage.com? What's that?
It's the hottest new game for kids of all ages, 55 and up.
Ooh.
All you have to do is sign up at their website and start building your family tree.
How do I do that?
You just open up your web browser and you type in...
This?
No, that's your settings. You don't have to access...
Is it this?
That's QuickTime Player, Mom. Just let me.
Okay, geez.
There's the browser. Now just type in Lineage.com.
Here?
No, that's the search bar, so just let me.
Wow, look, there's my family tree. I've added my mom and dad, their parents.
Don't forget your great uncle who started all those fires.
Who could forget? But what if I want to take building my family tree to the next level?
Lineage.com has your back. All you need to do is take one of these free delivery vials.
Oh.
Insert 3 bodily fluids.
Oh, which 3?
Take your pick. Then you just mail it back to the team, and hey presto.
Gosh, I'm 2.4% Dutch and 98% genetically identical to a western red colobus monkey.
And that's not all. Just look at all the new relatives Lineage.com has found from your DNA.
Ooh, a 13th century French duke.
The guy who invented squirty cheese.
Wow, a third cousin. This guy was a really successful businessman. In Berlin. In 1940. Let's just ignore that.
A potato farmer from Leicester.
A notable strangler from Seattle.
Guy de Maupassant.
It's hours of fun.
Just don't let me catch you up at all hours playing that thing.
Oh, you.
Lineage.com. Step into the past and discover that it's depressing and frightening. Some terms and conditions apply. Bodily fluids cannot be returned. Lineage.com cannot be held responsible for any war criminals discovered in your family tree. Genetic material may be used to tailor targeted advertising for your profile and may be used as evidence against you in a court of law. Lineage.com is a subsidiary of Delta Farm Incorporated, whose CEO is obliged by law to inform you that he is a registered sex offender.
Mom, it's 4 a.m. I think you should probably go to bed.
I found a branch of cousins from Tibet.
Mom, I'm worried about you.
Get away from me, I'm learning.
Lineage.com.
And we're back. Welcome back to AM in the Morning. I'm Mandy.
And I'm Andy. Just before the break, we saw some of the highlights of Mandy's trip to Bellinghurst Women's Prison. And I have to say, Mandy, the tapestry those girls were weaving really did look fabulous.
Yes, even more so in person.
Any idea when they're planning to have it finished?
Well, Andy, of course it depends partly on whether any more appeals come up and on whether they are allowed to have a photograph of Orson Welles for reference. But if they stay on track, the tapestry could be ready for unveiling at Lord's Cricket Ground for the start of the new season.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. But the hands on the clock say it's 6:32 a.m. this dark winter's morn, which means it's time to welcome our resident AM in the Morning chef, Marco Diponi. Marco. Morning, 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 Mandy.
Morning, Marco. Well.
Morning, Andy. Marco. Oh, gosh, you're full of beans this morning. That was nice. What's going on?
Well, it's your cooking segment, Marco. Every day you give us exciting new breakfast ideas for the viewers.
Oh, it's the breakfast?
That's the one.
Magnifico. Right, we're gonna do this. Here, Andy, will you take this bag? Certainly, just a loose plastic bag. Oh, it's moving.
What's in that bag, Marco?
Crabs.
Crabs.
See, 6 or 5 crabs.
Are they part of your recipe today?
No, I just come from the aquarium. These crabs look angry. Oh, they would be. I'll just put them over here. Okay, today's football results.
Recipe.
That's it, recipe. Today's recipe. 1 second, it's here somewhere. It's a haircut receipt. That's the angry letter from my milkman.
Anytime you like.
Here it is. Eggs, flour, sardines, fluffy towels, handgun. No, that's my shopping list. Hang on a second.
Meanwhile, Andy, why don't you tell us some of your favourite breakfast dishes?
Great idea, Mandy. Well, at heart, I'm a simple sort of breakfast man. Well, what are you doing? I think it's called desperately filling time, Marco. No, this is not what you do. This is me. I am the cooking.
Well, as soon as you'd like to start, Marco, we'd be delighted to see some.
You know, Mandy, you are a beautiful woman, but you are sarcastic. And my nonna, she always say, sarcasm flattens the tits.
Very good.
Okay, can I smoke in here?
No.
So what dish have you got for us today, Marco? Oh, shut up. I remember. It's a marinated veal piccata with a beautiful parsley garnish and a butter sauce.
That sounds delicious, Marco. But isn't that a bit rich for breakfast?
No, it's ridiculous. In Italy, for breakfast, you would eat this maybe 6 or 7 or 8 times a week. And if you wanted something a little lighter with a fresh style, then for your breakfast, you maybe have a fist of grass or spaghetti bolognese.
Wonderful. I just have one question for you, Marco.
Si.
Have you been drinking this morning?
A couple of Baileys in the car.
Thank you. Just checking.
And last night I have a few, how you say in English, crack.
So what's the secret to your veal piccata, Marco?
I'm glad you asked. The most important thing is that you have very fresh ingredients. Come along, breakfast. Mandy, can you pass me that knife and take off your top off?
I don't know.
No, Marco, I'm sorry. You can't kill a lamb live on television at 6:30 in the morning. Why not?
Well, we haven't put any paper down for a start.
This is why the ratings are so down, you know?
You don't need to talk about that, Marco.
On Italian television, we slaughter animals all the time.
Right.
And that is why Italian television, it is #1 ratings in UK all year round.
I'm not sure that's true, Marco.
Oh, fine. Go on, get lost. Trot off. Come on, get lost.
Now, over here.
Marco, what is that? What are you doing now?
Now, this is just a little something I'm working on lately. It's a little watercolor.
Oh, you've been painting.
Yes, that's right. But I use my own special Italian method for the watercolors. I use marinara sauce.
What's that a picture of? An orangutan?
No, it's my nonna.
Oh, sorry, it must have been the orangey sauce colour that threw me off. And the ape face.
This is very disrespectful of my nonna, and I am very upset.
Well, I'm sorry, Marco.
If it happens again, I'm gonna pull all of the buttons off your shirt and stick them on a lemon and see how you like that.
Well, I wouldn't like that very much, Marco.
That's right, you would not like to have a buttony lemon. That would not be a very nice present for your birthday, would it?
My birthday's in May, Marco.
Ah, Capricorn.
No.
Close enough. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, this is how you make a really beautiful kitchen chair.
Unfortunately, we're out of time for your segment, Marco, but do you have any final cooking tips for the viewers?
See, I got one final bit of advice. This is from the heart.
Good. Great.
When you cook spaghetti, don't throw away all the water when it has boiled. Save a little back and put it back in the pot for flavor.
Oh, lovely. That was very helpful, Marco. Thank you.
Oh, I just remembered something else.
What?
This is a hostage situation. I robbed a little bank last night. Mandy, can you pass me that knife and take off your top off, please?
Excellent. Well, I'm just hearing in my ear that after the break we'll be joined by Detective Inspector Khan from the Metropolitan Police's Hostage and Crisis Negotiation Unit. So, stay tuned.
Come and get me, pigs. I'm not afraid to die.
It's so early in the morning. We'll be back soon.
Come and get some of it, officers. I love it.
Hello, my name is Wingnut. I am a 5-year-old boy, and I am calling for Mr. Tom Crowley to say happy birthday for your show. I hope that you got the big red fire engine that you wanted, and nobody gives you a dead arm on this special day. Goodbye, I love you.
Submitted for your approval. Mr. Ted Bunderson, 41 years old, disappears without a trace, only to return seemingly unchanged a mere 48 hours later. Is he living a second life? Has he been attacked? Or could this be the work of some alien force? I'll give you a hint. It's aliens. In the twilight.
Cut.
What did you make of that one, Buzz? I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, the delivery was great, Rod, only, you sort of gave away the ending there.
Well, you don't want to risk confusing people, you know? Then they might lose interest in the picture.
I gotta say, I still think we can leave a little more room for ambiguity there.
I suppose you're the one looking down the barrel here, Buzz, so I'll take your word for it.
Great, thanks. How about we come back to that one and move on to the next for now?
That sounds A-okay by me.
Okay, reset everybody. Let's go for a take. Rolling.
Yep.
Sound speed.
Yep.
And action.
It's the shadow behind the door. It's the creaking noise in the night. It's the certainty against all logic and reason that there really is something under the bed. It's vampires. Vampires everywhere in the twilight.
Cut!
Is there a problem, Buzz?
No, not a problem per se, Rod. It's just, I thought the vampires thing was supposed to be the twist.
Oh, indeed. Very much so.
But then... Oh, okay, let's move on. Move on, next intro. Okay, let's reset everyone. Rolling?
Yep.
Sound speed?
Yep.
Action.
Martha Cresswell is 42 years old. She works as a bookkeeper at a respectable law firm in the city. She's unmarried and has a very limited social life, probably because she's a werewolf.
Cut!
Rod, look, I really think we should rethink this.
Oh, really, Buzz?
Yeah, maybe we ought to try the other guy for the intro, right? I mean, it's your show. We love the writing, but perhaps it'd be nice to have a fresh face up there on the screen at the top, for variety.
Certainly, Buzz, if you think that's best.
Great, thanks. Okay, new guy, you're up. Rolling?
Yep.
Sound speed?
Yep.
Action.
Good evening. Meet Tabitha Chalmers, a witty, sophisticated young woman without a care in the world.
At the end of Citizen Kane, Rosebud is the sled.
Cut!
What was wrong with that? Sure beats me, Al.
Looking for a thrill? Pay packet burning a hole in your pocket? Longing to roll with the highest rollers around? Then come down to the Platinum Swan Casino Didcot and roll those bones. We've got all the world's most popular gaming attractions, including poker, blackjack, roulette, that buzzing electric model horse racing game, slot machines, and betting on whether someone can do that thing where you stab the knife between your fingers really fast. When you visit Platinum Swan, the house will match your first £100 worth of casino tokens, giving you a head start at the tables. That's £100 to gamble away worry-free. You'll double down, raise them, and say, "Hit me," without a care in the world. Watch the faces fall around the table as you reveal that ace in the hole. Throw double sixes and take home everything on the deck. Crank the handle and watch the fruit line up in front of your hungry eyes. And when that first 100's gone, it's all down to you. But it's not all down to you to set your limits. Here at Platinum Swan, we take gambling addiction very seriously. In consultation with government ministers and experts in compulsive disorders, we've come up with a comprehensive strategy to help you ensure that you can stop when you need to, with our help. But if you're in control and feeling flush, then get back out onto that floor and bet the house on red. You're the king of the wheel, watching that ball bounce around like a coquettish little minx before dropping right where you want it. And just like that ball, you're on a roll. So put your money down and spin that wheel, amigo. You're looking good. You're feeling good. You're a sex Jesus. You're James Bond. You're a combination of Idris Elba and that camel that used to sell cigarettes. You're trying to explain to your wife why you're going to have to default on this month's mortgage payment. You're looking at the leak in your son's bedroom ceiling and praying it won't get worse before payday. You're wishing you'd held back when that little voice of doubt chirped up. You're wishing you could turn back the clock. You're wishing for the impossible. Which is why at the Platinum Swan Casino Didcot, we have your safety in mind. Our staff are trained to recognize the signs of compulsive gambling and step in where needed. They'll show you to our purpose-built cool-down lounge with its own restaurant, bar and information leaflets, so you can take a breath and ask yourself, am I really in control? Then when you've stopped being a huge pussy, you can blast back onto the casino floor like a mighty stallion with a huge floppy cock that's jizzing dice out of the end of it, and every face on every dice is a 7. Your wife doesn't love you. Your children are ugly. Your job is a sick lie perpetrated by an uncaring and cruel society. And the only way to escape the hellish cycle of your tortured existence is more gambling. Got a holiday fund? Gamble it. Got some savings for your kids' university fees? Gamble it. Got a wedding ring? Sell it at our in-house pawn shop and then gamble it. But wait. You've worked hard for a long time to build up a nest egg for yourself and your partner's retirement. It'd be a shame to lose it all now for nothing but a cheap thrill. It's easy to get carried away. That's why at the Platinum Swan Casino Didcot, we allow you to set your own limits. Our triple deadlock limit system ensures that when you tell us where your line is, we won't let you cross it. Unless you go get some cash out from the motorway services across the street and come back in wearing a hat and some sunglasses, then who'd expect us to have any idea who you are? So get back to the gambling, and if you don't feel like gambling, have another drink in the cool-down lounge and see if you feel like gambling then. Look at the flashing lights. Look at all those machines vomiting out an ocean of pound coins for all those lucky punters. Look at the 20-year-old waitresses in the tight leather basques serving drinks. They'd never be interested in a pudgy middle-aged creep like you, but they might be interested in the man who won all the gambling. Complying with the oppressive restrictions of what is deemed to be socially appropriate behavior is fascist anyway, or at least you're pretty sure you saw a tweet which said something like that. So gamble. Gamble on cards. Gamble on dice. Gamble on whether our head waiter can fit his entire fist in his mouth. Gamble on the knife fights in the car park out the back. Gamble on whatever you want. Just make sure you're gambling and make sure you're doing it at the Platinum Swan Casino Didcot. The Platinum Swan Casino Didcot. Gamble aware. When disaster strikes, will your fingers fly fast enough? I'm Brian Surgery, and this is Emergency Call.
Emergency call.
Today's real-life emergency call. The year is 1990. The Righteous Brothers were top of the charts, with D-Light nipping at their righteous heels. Total Recall came out, and for one primary school class from Little Ho Chi Minh City in Hampshire, terror was putting its shoes on. 8-year-old Tim Quilting and the rest of his class, 4B, were spending the day at the Idle Chasm Outdoor Exploration Centre, partly to learn about geography and partly to give their teachers a break from having to look at their stupid little faces for a day. The morning's events, a zipline session and guess the weight of the fossilised wood, passed without incident. But it was the afternoon's adventure, potholing, where danger reared its disgusting head.
I'd never had any interest in potholing, no, or anything to do with the outdoors. In fact, I can remember pretending to have a cold that morning to try and get out of the school trip. My mum always was pretty gullible, and I was pretty sure I was going to spend the day swaddled in blankets playing Super Mario Bros. 3.
The voice of the now grown-up Tim Quilting there, who might have had a very different day, tucked up in bed at home, except for one crucial mistake.
My mum asked me if I was sure I was feeling too ill to go on the trip, and instead of saying yes, which I should have done, I accidentally said no.
His first deadly error, but not the last one. 4B were under the tutelage of veteran cave diving instructor Hugo Groin, who led the small children into the underground cave.
I've led hundreds of these expeditions through the cave system, and until that day I've never had anything go wrong.
But go wrong, something was indeed destined to go.
I watched the safety demonstration really closely. I found the prospect of the dive quite frightening, actually, so I was paying very close attention, except for about 3 minutes when I thought I saw a bird.
It's all pretty straightforward, really. The children follow closely behind me, down into the cave system, holding onto a guide rope. The water comes up to about your waist, or your chin, if you're a small child. It's pretty terrifying, really. You should see the looks on their faces sometimes.
Now, don't be alarmed. What you're watching is just our special reconstruction of these events, in which I play every character. Don't let go of the rope. Have you got that, kids? Yes, thank you, Mr. Groin. At first, the potholing expedition went as planned. The children followed Hugo through the caves, literally terrified into learning. But then came the most challenging challenge.
There's a fun bit where you have to duck your head under the water for just about 3 feet to get past some low rock, and you come up for air on the other side to get out. And I'll tell you, if there's one bit of the dive where a child is going to wee themselves, that's it.
But despite this, little Tim felt confident.
Well, I'd seen all the kids ahead of me do the little ducking under the rock bit, and it seemed pretty simple, so yeah, I thought this was going to be a total piece of piss, quite honestly.
But it wasn't. In an almost inexplicable turn of events, while ducking under the rock face, Tim managed to let go of the guide rope and veer 12 feet off course. And when he surfaced again, he found himself in a tiny, enclosed dead end.
Oh Christ, what's going on?
He couldn't see, as there was no light in the cave, though there was air. But for how long?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the lack of any light source, and feeling around in the dark and only finding more rock. That's when I well and truly started to shit it.
When children stopped coming out of the cave exit on the other side, we did a head count, like we always do, and as you'd expect, we came up one short, because obviously Tim wasn't there. But it was actually Tim's teacher who said not to worry about it, because apparently the kids were always wandering off and messing with electrical equipment or playing with themselves or something.
But when Tim failed to reappear after 3 hours, eyebrows were raised. This was when Hugo made his best decision all day.
I rang 999 and made an emergency call.
Emergency call.
Hello, emergency. I've lost a child. A mere 12 minutes after Hugo's call, a crack team of emergency divers arrived at the scene. Using sophisticated thermal imaging technology and breathing apparatus, Hugo and the divers began their search of the caves. In here, is it? Yes, in the cave. Meanwhile, little Tim was still stuck in the tiny side cave, frightened to move and running out of air. Jesus Christ, where is everyone?
The thought that I was going to die there did cross my mind, but it was sort of hard to hear that thought over all the common or garden freaking out that I was doing.
However, soon enough, God be praised, the divers noticed the tiny aperture in the main cave trail through which little Tim had in error passed, and knew that they had found the solution to the child-based mystery.
I didn't even know that little air pocket was in there, so obviously when we swam through that aperture, we were bracing ourselves for a dead kid situation.
But Hosanna in the highest, when Hugo surfaced in the side cave, there was little Tim, cold and frightened, but alive. Are you the missing boy? Yes, hello. But there was a further complication. The divers didn't have any extra air tanks, so to save Tim, Hugo was going to have to give up his own.
It was just one of those spur-of-the-moment decisions. I knew I'd have to take off my breathing mask and give it to Tim if we were going to get him out of there. I didn't even consider the danger to myself in the moment. Maybe if I had, I would have asked one of the other diving blokes to do it. I mean, that's their job after all.
After carefully extracting Tim and leading the divers through to the exit, holding his breath for dear life all the way, Hugo emerged from the cave system a hero, cheered and applauded by Tim's relieved school chums and teachers.
Hugo Groin really is a hero. My entire life, everything I've done since that day, my tech industry investment portfolio, the Maserati, the second home in Spain, I owe it all to his bravery. Like I always say, I was just doing my job. In fact, it was only a couple of weeks after that when my mum died, which suited me fine as she'd left me quite a hefty packet in the will. If it wasn't for Hugo, I never would have seen any of that money.
An astonishing act of bravery, which no one involved would soon forget. And Hugo says that his sense of achievement isn't marred by the fact that little Tim grew up to be a Class A bastard.
I mean, obviously risking your life to save that of a child, anyone would do that for any child, but when you find yourself really truly in that position, you are sort of hoping that the child might grow up to be a good person, or at least not a bad person, or at least not the worst person.
Tim is 38 now and has made millions from setting up a company that uses stolen social media data to track down people who owe money to payday loan companies.
Our software tracks down these povos with laser precision so they can be picked up by the collection agencies, just like Hugo and his team tracked me down all those years ago. Lol. Well, I ran into some financial difficulties myself a few years ago, and I found out it was actually Tim's software that led the debt collectors to my door, which was somewhat ironic.
No, please, not my grandfather's watch.
It's nothing personal. If you don't pay, we're coming your way. That's on my email sig. When they were stripping my flat bare, I did think to myself, if I hadn't saved Tim all those years back, then this wouldn't be happening, but I'm still glad that I did. I'm glad. I mean, anything else would have been monstrous, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it?
Hugo Groin was a hero, and all thanks to a well-timed 999 emergency call. Of course, it didn't work out very well for him, but for all he knew back then, little Tim Quilting could have grown up to be the next Florence Nightingale, not the next Florence Shightingale. Until next time, this is Brian Surgery saying night-night, and watch your back, because the next emergency call could be yours.
Emergency call.
This is Link Tangent, Space Cartographer. Just calling to say it's been a while since I last transmitted one of my cartographer's logs to your listeners, and I'm available. Lots happened to me recently, and your listeners might like to hear a little about it. Anyway, I've had my space phone on this whole time, and nothing. Not a dicky bird. Anyway, call me. This is London at war, marching shoulder to shoulder with those brave men and women striving to get on with business as usual in our nation's capital. See the best of Blighty shrugging off Hitler's bombs with a wink and a smile, a song in their heart, even after a heavy night of Jerry tapping at the window. Not now, Jerry, we're trying to sleep. Naughty Jerry. It's 3 months now since the bombs began to fall over London, and just a week ago the Hobbs family lost a significant portion of their home to a deadly raid. But see them here, picking through the rubble of what was once their life, working together as a family to salvage what they can. It was quite a shock, I must say. We've lived in this house for 7 years now, and now quite a lot of it, as you can see, it's not in the best condition. But we and our children weren't harmed, and we're very grateful for that. I lost an upright piano that had been in my family for generations, which was quite a blow. But then again, my father was killed. Yes, so that was something. Yes, brilliant. We asked the Hobbs family what they thought of the government's new approach to managing everyday British life during the German Blitz. It's the exhaustion, that's what really gets to you after months of this. Yes, so considering that, it's actually been a real boost to just pretend it isn't happening. Pretend what isn't happening? Well, Oh, I see, yes. She's very clever, my wife. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Yes, this is the Churchill Cabinet's new strategy for beating the Nazis at their own game. That game being the dropping of bombs all over the country. In accordance with government advice, since last Monday, the people of London have been absolutely adamant that everything is normal and there are no bombs falling at all. Just ask this Haggerston Welk vendor. Welks! What's that? No, I ain't seen any bombs. No, nothing like that, no. You must be mad. Welks! But we understand that your home and your wife were destroyed just last night. Oh, yeah, blimey, what, did you think I hadn't noticed? Very odd. Very odd thing to happen, especially when there's no bombs dropping. Know what I mean? Wink, wink. Welks! And with the success of this strategy, codenamed Operation Blinders, Prime Minister Winston Churchill has taken the plan a step further and announced bold new steps for re-energizing the nation's cities. In desperate times, boldness is key to victory. It is in that spirit that I am pleased to announce that from today, the pubs shall reopen 24 hours a day. It is the patriotic duty of every man, woman, and child to get lashed around the clock, to revive our great British economy, and to show Herr Hitler that we will never surrender, not while there is a gasp of breath in our bodies and a drop of alcohol in our bloodstreams. We have fought them on the beaches and on the landing grounds, and now we shall fight them on the piss. The first night of round-the-clock drinking yielded mixed results. Of the 900 pubs which remained open overnight, 600 were obliterated by German bombs before morning, the enemy bombers likely attracted by the large amounts of light and the loud sounds of revelry to be found therein. This man survived a direct hit on the Nag and Spigot in Camberwell. Oh, well, all but about 3 of us was blown to bits in the explosion, but what I say is, this is Britain! If I can't go out and have a few pints of an evening, what's the point in even having a war, eh? But Churchill's new keep calm and ignore everything approach has been met with criticism from some circles. Leader of the opposition Hastings Lees-Smith, yes, that is his real name, described the move as monstrously irresponsible, pointing out that the total blackout and curfew measures previously in place had saved countless civilian lives and protected many key buildings and services. Lees-Smith continued to say that willfully abandoning these effective measures demonstrated what he called a total lack of understanding of the situation and a near-psychopathic disregard for human lives. In response, the Prime Minister replied, "Sir, I may be a psychopath, but in the morning, I will still be sexy." To address the nation's concerns and shed some light on the strategy, the Prime Minister let us speak to his least popular cabinet minister, Matt Hancock. It's priceless. People are angry with me because people are being killed by exploding bombs, and now people are angry with me because more people are being killed by exploding bombs. You can't be angry with me because people are being killed by bombs. They were being killed by bombs before. So many thousands dead. Well, that certainly explains that. So, as Britain's cities face night after night of devastating assaults on streets filled with happy revelers, some setting off fireworks, we join with our Prime Minister in saying, "What bombs?" This is London at War, reminding you that what you repeatedly tell yourself doesn't exist can't possibly hurt you.
All right, so once we secure West Coast distribution, we're golden, but don't go with Peterson, he's a jerk.
Yes, sir.
Ah, Charlie, great to see you.
Wonderful to see you, old fellow.
Okay, so this is your seat here?
Very kind.
So that's everyone. We have Charlie here, you all know him.
Hello.
The lovely Vanessa, she's playing Bella.
Hi.
Mac here's playing Big Joe.
Howdy.
And Jimmy here's our PA, he'll be reading stage directions.
Hiya.
Okay, Jimmy, take us away.
Big City by Charles Chaplin. Open on an ordinary city street with gas lamps, a hot dog vendor, etc. Cut to the little tramp. He is gazing wide-eyed at the hot dog stand. He licks his lips. He reaches into his pocket and pulls it inside out. A moth flies out. Little tramp looks into camera and speaks. Dialogue card.
Sorry, Jimmy, the cards are part of the stage directions.
Oh, sorry, sir.
That's okay, just don't let it happen again. Time is money.
Dialogue card. Not a cent. The little tramp's eyes dart back to the hot dog stand. He sees a large man with a bushy mustache, Big Joe, arguing with the vendor. Big Joe points at the sign, which reads, hot dogs, 5 cents, then points at the hot dogs, then points at the sign, then points at the hot dogs. The vendor resists his arguments, pointing at the sign insistently. Big Joe picks up 2 halves of hot dog bun from the stall, then jams them on either side of the vendor's face. Reaction shot. The vendor, with the bun stuck on his head, looks furiously into the camera. Big Joe laughs. Dialogue card. Now there's a hot dog. The little tramp sees his opportunity and sneaks up to the hot dog stand. Sorry, could I have a glass of water?
No.
Okay. The little tramp sees his opportunity and sneaks up to the hot dog stand, avoiding the watchful eye. Tramp and Bella are lying on the grass together. The little tramp makes a small daisy chain and offers it to Bella as a wedding ring. Bella puts it on, elated, then looks aghast at the ring. Dialogue card. You'll need a bigger rock than that. Bella throws the ring into the little tramp's face. In reaction, he falls back and rolls down the grassy hill very close to the oncoming traffic. Big Joe swings at the little tramp but misses as the little tramp ducks out of the way. Big Joe's collar becomes attached to the metal hook at the end of the crane arm. The little tramp swings the lever on the crane, and Big Joe is swung around and dropped into the river. Bella runs up to the little tramp and kisses him on the cheek. They both laugh. Dialogue card. All's well that ends well. Reaction shot of Big Joe in the river, treading water and spluttering. The end.
What do you say? Will it play in Pittsburgh? Great work, Charlie.
Not at all.
Thanks, Vanessa.
No problem.
Great to see you, Mac.
Howdy.
So we'll get any rewrites to you by next week, and shooting will commence on the 19th. Oh, and Jimmy.
Yes, sir?
Get me some coffee, will you? I'm parched.
And there you have it. The best of Crowley time thus far. Was your all-time favourite missing? Were you happy to hear some of your top golden oldies? Whatever your feelings, make sure to get in touch at @TomCrowley on Twitter to scream them at me. Before we go, we've just got time for, well, anything really. I mean, this show isn't part of a schedule, so the episodes can be as short or as long as I like. But in this case, I have decided that we've just got time for one last treat. To celebrate the scary season, here's a rare live appearance from Sir Chuntley Buffingham, performing a brand new drama parlour story at a recent edition of the wonderful Factually Inaccurate Stand-Up Night at the Miller Pub in London Bridge.
Now, this one's called Blood for Blood by Gregory Crumpet. Oliver gripped the hammer tightly in his right hand. With its considerable weight and the sweat that slicked his palm, it threatened to slide free at any moment, and any sudden noise or movement could spell total disaster. He surveyed the figure that lay before him, barely visible in the gloom. It was laid out as straight as a board, the hands crossed against its chest. It possessed an ancient gravity, but seemed somehow weightless, the head hardly making an indent on the silken pillow beneath it. The long wooden stake was the responsibility of Oliver's left hand. This he positioned carefully over the dead centre of the body's chest. With his right, he raised the hammer high over his head to the point of no return. Every alarm in his mind was blaring as his arm tensed up with all the strength its muscles could muster. His instincts of caution, of mercy, screamed at him to pause, to reconsider, but he blinked them away, reminding himself that the vampire, that spawn of hell, was deserving of no mercy, of no quarter, of no thought at all. It was a scourge that sought only to feed on the innocent, and as it showed no mercy or self-control itself, it should be accorded the same treatment by mortal man. The first blow sent the stake deep into the body's chest, straight and true, and with a jolt, the vampire awoke and jerked its limbs in a spasm of agony. This Oliver was prepared for. Holding the beast down with all his might, he struck the bolt again and again until he could drive it in no further, and the body showed no resistance nor any movement at all. Oliver stood there in silence for a moment, the adrenaline slowly releasing its grip on his arms and his mind. His breathing slowed, and he considered the results of his handiwork. The body had not dissolved into an unctuous slime, nor exploded into a shower of ash, as he imagined it might. It merely lay there, immobile, pinned firmly to the bed. There was also a lot of blood all over the place. More than he imagined an undead person would still have flying about their person. A moment's doubt crossed his mind, but he shooed it away. A mysterious, pallid stranger, travelling by night, sleeping through the day, with the heavy curtains of his Travelodge accommodation drawn tight to shut out the sun. An old-fashioned velvet frock coat with the collar done up right over the neck. A really vampire-y name, like Victor Malvakian. What more evidence could a God-fearing soldier of the light require? No sooner had Oliver stepped out of Malvakian's room than he was bumped lightly in the arse by the maid's cleaning trolley. He whipped around, suddenly remembering that he was absolutely soaked head to toe in vampire blood. The maid looked him over briefly, then nodded and said, "Those little ketchup sachets, it happens more often than you think." Relieved, Oliver nodded with a beatific smile. The maid continued, "So, are you here for the annual Polish anemia sufferers historical reenactment weekend too?" "Oh shit," said Oliver, and he jumped out of the window, never to be seen in the vicinity of that Travelodge again. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Sir Chuntley Buckingham!
The excellent Factually Inaccurate stand-up show is a regular night at the Miller, performed monthly. If you're in the London area, I strongly recommend checking out one of their future performances. The next is on Monday the 15th of November 2021 and boasts a packed lineup including Athena Kugblenu, Monica Gaga and many other bright starry lights of the live comedy circuit. The rest of the set was an interview with Sir Chuntley by the show's host James Walsh, and if you're absolutely livid that you missed it, well, good news. The recording of that rare insight into the life and work of one of our finest living actors is this month's Patreon-exclusive bonus material. If you're already signed up as a supporter, go there right now and claim your reward. If you haven't signed up yet, go to patreon.com/CrowleyTime and support this show to the tune of $2 per episode or your local currency equivalent. There you will gain access to all of this show's bonus material past, present, and future. If you'd like to support the show but don't like the idea of a regular subscription, go to crowleytime.com and buy a copy of Discount Bin, the show's first ever soundtrack album, featuring songs from the show in new enhanced recordings and lots of brand new tracks to boot, all for just £5.99. Now I must away, back into my mad little audio shed to produce more sketches, characters and messages in bottles from unknown shores for the next episode. If you're a regular listener, I'll see you there. If this is your first go at dipping a toe into the thick, gristly waters of Crowley Time, I hope you'll now consider scrolling back and listening from the beginning. There are still hours of comedy to be digested back there, above and beyond what was featured in this compilation. So go on, stick your hand in the barrel and dig right the way down to the bottom. That's where you'll find me, Tom Crowley. Everything you've just heard was made by me, Tom Crowley, except for the piano piece in the Rest of Netflix appeal, which was by Mattia Cupelli. Please submit all praise, questions or complaints to @atomcrowley on Twitter. To ensure that this show lasts long enough to get a second best of someday, go to patreon.com/crowleytime and become a supporter today. And remember, a smile costs nothing, but a frown may now carry a fine of up to £20 per offence. Go to gov.uk/frown for more information.
Hello, Tom. It's Chuntley. Listen, a bit of an urgent one. Been trying to reach you. Whatever you do, please make sure that interview doesn't hit the airwaves. My lawyers have told me there's quite a bit of what they called slander in there, which mustn't taste the sweet oxygen of public exposure. Personally, I think the ungrateful two-faced bastards have it coming, but apparently that's not how the judge is going to see it. So, once again, do not release the full interview by any means. Oh, and well done on 3 years. Ta-ra!
Ah. Oh dear.